Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Jon Newhard, CEO of Clinc, a provider of conversational artificial intelligence at banks. Jon, it's great to see you. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. I appreciate it.
COVID-19 and the shift to digital transactions has dramatically disrupted the customer experience, causing leaders at banks to rethink their approach. And you believe AI has become an expectation for conversational technology rather than a perk. Tell us about the revolution of conversational technology.
Yeah, so I think, if you've experienced a chat bot on a website or something along those lines, it seems really rudimentary. I mean, it's the equivalent of like, for those of us who are my age, experiencing AOL, 20 years ago, as opposed to broadband today, right? It's an entirely different, the possibilities are entirely different. What conversational AI really is all about, when truly enterprise enabled, is it's kind of, sort of replacing a trained human in the room. And that's the kind of technology that Clinc is providing now for some major financial institutions around the globe.
How can banks adapt to evolving customer needs?
So, I guess a few things. One is, one of the interesting things about banking is that there's been a lot of digital disruption over the years, right? So a lot of the ways that banks do business processes are obviously evolving and changing, and there's some digital insurgents that are kind of nipping at their heels. And so there's a lot of transformation that could happen across the enterprise. At Clinc, we're really focused on sort of the conversational pieces of this, right? So it's really about being able to replace a human experience with a whole lot more automation. And there's a bunch of benefits to that. One of which is from a retail bank's perspective, it's reducing the OpEx for the people, but it's also making sure that sort of sometimes you have different spikes in demand, and you won't be able to staff your branches or your call centers with the right amount of people. Whereas with conversational AI, those conversations can be happened digitally and at scale, right? And then there's the other issue with last I checked, and quite to our chagrin, there's been a global pandemic. And what that means is a lot of branches have closed, right? And so you can't even do a lot of things that you're used to doing in person anymore. And so again, being able to do that digital transformation up front is more than just an OpEx and a strategic piece. It's a way of making sure that customers can be engaged during this obviously trying time.
What is the role of AI and how is smart technology amplifying the customer experience?
So there's a bunch of different roles for AI. I think there's a lot of things that either back-end processes or front office processes that used to be done manually or done with some back-end system for which machine learning and AI can help speed the process. So we have in our ecosystem in the banks that we work with, for instance, there's a lot of back-end automation with doing loan processing, doing account processing, et cetera, that's being aided with machine learning and AI. And again, it's part of the digital transformation that a lot of these banks are facing today.
Jon, do you think banks that are adopting this kind of technology to improve the consumer experience, do you think they're actually more successful at the end of the day?
We'd certainly like to believe so if we're helping to enable that sort of thing. But I legitimately think that's the case. And look, as both a provider of technology and frankly as a consumer of large retail banks, the idea of being on a call center waiting 46 minutes for someone to go pick up the phone so I can do some basic banking stuff is an annoying experience, right? And so if we can go ahead and enable that so that we have a piece of technology, non-human intervention, if you will, to go ahead and do most of that work for banks, it's better for the banks, but it's also way better from a consumer experience as well. Just so you don't always need a human who could do stuff, and so sometimes you just want to go ahead and take care of a transaction and get on with your life. And this is something that we're enabling.
All right, Jon, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Great.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.